I'm Ray and this is TinyTableGames. Thanks for clicking on the video. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and join me on my journey as I go through all the games on my game shelf that I never have played, and keep painting all the miniatures that are in dire need of painting. Today we're trying what some people would consider an oldie but a goodie, but is just a game that's been sitting on my shelf for quite some time gathering dust. The name of the game is Tiny Towns, which is kind of appropriate given the channel name. No relation. Anyway, it's kind of a town building placement game, and there's actually a couple of different ways to play, but we'll get into it. So let's go check it out. Welcome to Tiny Towns. Everybody has their own little 4x4 board, and the idea is to build up a town on it. There are a bunch of different cards. There's 5 of each type. The back of each card has a different type on it. Bad example with the well there, but for the other ones. And so you just kind of randomly pick them out. There's a suggested starting setting for making it easier, I guess. But as you can see, there's a big old pack of additional cards that you can pick from. So those are just the ones that we laid out, and those stay there for the whole game. They are represented, as you can see, by a green building, red, blue, yellow, etc. And there's a bunch of little building meeples to match that. So just depending on which game you're playing and which card you have out depends on how they score. The goal of the game, of course, is to build up as much as you can on your little grid and score as many points as possible based on that. And you'll notice on each card, it has both a little color combination, which we'll get to, and a little verbiage. In this case, it says 1 green dot, which in this case equals victory points, for each yellow building, in this case cloister, in a corner of your town. So if you score points with the cloister if you manage to build it into the corners of your town. And each building is different. The theater here, 1 victory point for each other unique building type in the same row and column as this. And so basically, you get the idea. Each building has its own little specific things. The tavern's kind of funny. It's just the more of them you build, the more points you get. So, you know, if you want a ton of points, build 5 taverns. And notice the little colors indicate how much building work they are, basically. So the factory is way harder than a farm or a tavern. So here's where it comes in with multiple ways to play. For your first game, they don't actually advise using monuments, but we're using them anyway. And what it is everybody gets dealt 2, and then you pick one for yourself. And effectively, it's just another building, but it's a building only you can build and not everybody else. And they're all unique. And while they're not supposed to see them, you know, in this particular case, I don't think it'll be a problem. So, let's see. Notice for things like farms, it says feed 4 buildings anywhere in your town. And then the cottage, you get 3 victory points if this building is fed. So per farm, you can make up to 4 cottages. Although notice that the monument here says your unfed cottages are worth 3 points each. So it's the same as if you did build a farm or not build a farm. So this is kind of an interesting feature that you can use. Whereas this monument, Grove University, is score 3 victory points. Immediately place a building on an empty square in your town. Now, all of these buildings, you can build as many of them as you want, however you feel like. The monuments, you can only build once. And there's a specific monument marker to designate that. So here's the other part where it comes in with multiple ways to play. So you can play up to 6 people. This is the first player token, which is kind of funny for building a town. And there are a bunch of little resource cubes, 5 different colors. And the goal is, of course, on your turn, you can place 1 resource cube. And if you place them in such a sequence or order that it matches that pattern, for example, red, blue, yellow, in any orientation, as long as it's the same. So, you know, Tetris rules apply. So any of those orientations is fine, so long as it's like that. You can immediately, or you can choose to wait, go, aha, I'm picking up these 3 cubes and I'm placing a cottage. And you can place your cottage on any of those 3 spaces, and then you can reuse those other ones. So there's some strategy involved with that. But on a turn, if you're playing in the multiplayer, if you will, variation, The person with the hammer calls out one color, and everybody has to take one cube of that color and place it somewhere on their board. Then, if you have a building you want to build because you meet the requirements to do so, you can. Otherwise, your turn ends, the hammer goes to the next person, and they call out one of the 5 colors, and everybody has to put that somewhere on their board, and so on and so forth, and around and around. We are playing in a slightly different method, which is called the Town Hall method, which is where there are 15 cards, the top 5 of which, after you shuffle them, you just set aside, and shuffle them up, and just flip, and everybody has to go with what's there. You do that twice, and then on the third round, everybody gets to pick whatever color they want for their third one, and then it goes back, flip another one, take it, flip another one, take it, everybody, and so on. And you go through that way. That way, no one's actually picking their own colors for most of it, and everybody has to kind of carry on dealing with the same thing since you're building from the same supplies with the exception of the monuments. Of the two, I think this is probably a slightly better way of doing it. For one thing, it's friendlier. Because you can, you announce a color and everybody else has to go with it. You can really start to mess with people, I would suspect, if you can see how their board's looking out, because everybody can see everybody's board, and you can attempt to mess up somebody. Like if they have a yellow, a brown, and a brown, and they need one more yellow, and nobody calls out that yellow until it gets around to them, they could be at like a 3-turn disadvantage for getting that farm built. Also, given the real estate, that also means that's 3 other areas that are now occupied with cubes that they might not have wanted to use. Okay, so it's a bit more friendly since it's the cards doing it, and then on the third turn you just pick whichever one you want and everybody does their own. So there you go, that's pretty much all there is to it. Here's the first brick, it's got to be a blue one. Let's see. Egon, if he's going to place one to make use of his university, he needs to make sure it's not in a corner. So maybe here. Meanwhile, Venkman doesn't care as much, so he'll probably go for a tavern and put that up here because it fits nicely in the corners based on the pattern. So, next card, Stone. Well, that works out pretty good for Egon. He's going to put his here and continue that up. And Venkman, the cloister has to go into a corner, so he's going to do that and start that over here.
As I walk through a valley where I harvest my grain, and I take a look at my wife and realize she's very plain. There's just one flavor good enough for me, yeah me. Don't give me no crummy teaspoon, I know what I need. Baby, I love rock and roll.
So,
Like a surgeon, got it for the very first time. And I didn't request a personality test. Stop forwarding that crap to me.
Okay, guys. Yo, ding dong, man. Ding dong,
So the next thing that happens is you remove all the resources that didn't get turned into anything. That's the painful part, because each empty square is -1 points. Ouch. All right, so we will start over here with, I guess, Venkman. So let's see, he gets no points on its own for his mausoleum, but it gets 3 points for each cottage that remains unfed. And unfed means you didn't build a farm and you never did. So that's 3, 6, 9, 12 points. And the score sheet is broken up based on each type of thing you get. So that's kind of nice. So he gets 0 for that on its own, but he gets 12 points for his cottages. Let's see, he gets 1 point for the cloister. He's only got one of them in the corner. Let's see, he's got 3 wells, and you get 1 point for each adjacent farm. So for this well, that's 2 points. For this well, 1 point. And for this well, 1 point. So 1, 2, 3, 4 points for the wells. Let's see, he didn't build a theater. He never built a factory. Negative spaces, he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So -5 empty spaces. And lastly, his taverns. The tavern card, he built 2 of them, so he gets 5 points. And that is Venkman's score. Now over here for Egon, let's see, he's got 3 empties, so that's -3. His university is worth 3 points. He has 2 cloisters in a corner, so that's 2 points for those. He never built a factory. Each fed cottage is worth 3, and you can feed up to 4 with his farm. The farm itself is worth nothing. So he gets 3, 6, 9, 12. He never built a bar, or a tavern, excuse me. He did build a theater, which is worth 1 point for each other unique building in the same row and column. So that's 1, 2, 3 points. Although that's a building type 2, I guess, so that's 4 points. And for the wells, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, so that's 5 and 6. 6 points for the wells, since diagonal doesn't count. So at a glance, it pretty much looks like Egon clobbered Venkman at this. And while Venkman is probably better than Egon at poker, Egon clobbered Venkman at Tiny Towns, 24-17. So that's how it plays. You can play with up to 6 people. If you have more boards and more pieces, you could honestly play even more people than that using the Town Hall cards that way, which is pretty fun, I think. So you can virtually turn it into a thinky party game in that sense. In any case, I like this one a lot. I think it's a blast. Definitely a good family style game. A little skull burny, but not terrible. And it plays fairly quick. And using the Town Hall cards means that nobody gets their feelings hurt, really, since you don't have anybody telling you what you have to put down except the cards, so it balances out. So that's a winner for me. I'm Ray. This is TinyTableGames. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you liked it, and I'll catch you next time.